Hello, YouTubers. Here I am. Hi, I'm Rock. Hi, I'm Rock, and I'm coming back at you with another live stream. And in today's live stream, I'll be going over the SkyRC GNSS Performance Analyzer, taking the data that I got from the GNSS. I just call it GPA from the GPA, taking the data from the GPA and making just a quick comparison between the MaxAmps 2-cell 7.4 volts 5000 milliamps graphene true 175C burst lipo battery, comparing its data to the Turnigy 2-cell 7.4 volts 90C burst or 90C rating graphene lipo battery. So without any further ado, let's get to it. Um, so this is data and knowledge that I'm going to share with you folks, and whatever you want to take from the data and the knowledge, and decide for yourself whether which battery is the winner between the battle of the lipos. Um, you know, I think what it comes down to at the end of this video, you will be the winner, because that way you'll be able to make the best decision for you when deciding on which lipo battery you should use. So I was able to screenshot the data, so I'm gonna pull it up right now. I think I'm gonna make myself shrinky first, but here we go. This the first data that I'm sharing with you folks is from the oh, sorry, right here. I think I'm gonna have to just make myself disappear. I'll make myself very small. Okay, so this is the 3 runs that I did with the MaxAmps LiPo battery, which I have here in my hand. So this LiPo battery, I think they dropped the price on this one, so now it's only 900. Oh, not nine. It's $99.99 before shipping, before taxes. So these the data is um, the data is from the first the 3 runs. So the one on all the way to the left right here is the first one, my first run, then the second run, and then my third and final run on the MaxAmps. So looking at the data, what you see is pretty much everything is just very consistent. Times are very consistent, 2.04 seconds. Just have one anomaly or variable, which is a 2.110, but the miles per hour or max speed that I was able to get from the MaxAmps was very consistent, 41 miles per hour. So this lipo battery is very consistent. It has a pretty good run time in regards to 132 feet. So here we have the red line is the acceleration, g-force. So we start from the very start all until we hit 132 feet, and then we have the speed. How shows how, like, I guess how much speed gains throughout the 132 feet, or within seconds, if you want to call that, from 0 to 3 seconds. I'm not going to really focus on acceleration too much. Probably talk about it a little bit, and then probably talk more about the speed. But I'm basically going to talk about how the two LiPo batteries compare, especially when you're trying to compare it to how you have uh, uh, your drag, no prep drag RC setup in regards to gearing ratio or even KV motor. Basically, under load, and how the C rating um, can affect the capacity, and also the capacity can affect the C rating, and how you can get quicker and faster times and faster miles per hour. So basically, the max time is pretty consistent in regards to miles per hour. Max speed times are pretty close to each other, very consistent. Um, as you see, the G-force, not so much, or acceleration. to me, this is kind of an anomaly. That, you know, it was very like flat or consistent for like almost like a second. This is kind of weird. But as you can see, the mouse power is exactly identical in regards to the graph. So yeah. So in the MaxAmps, you pretty much will get a consistent battery or consistent times and consistent miles per hour. Okay, on to the Turnigy. So this is the Turnigy. As you can see, it's kind of opposite of the MaxAmps, where my first three runs, right? So my first one, I didn't get a great run, um, and I was able to hit 40 miles per hour. And then, but my next two runs are very consistent, very identical, 3.050 on both on these two last runs, and then the miles per hour is very identical, 42 miles per hour. As you can see here, this is also a very consistent battery. If you're looking at the graph, the curve, especially these two, this one looks like it bursts pretty quick, but it ended up losing its peak real quick. It went like the burst went like it had a voltage sag to me compared to the other two, where the other two is pretty more consistent to each other. You, you know, this one had like a like this. Yeah, it's this run it experienced a lot of probably a lot of voltage drop compared to the other two, where this one is more is able to maintain it consistently throughout. You see two peaks or two valleys here, 1, 2. When I hit about the 2 second mark, here is able. It didn't really uh, go down too much until after maybe 2.5 seconds. Same here. So for some reason, I had a voltage sag on this run, and that's why I end up getting, you know, not a quick time and lesser miles per hour. But other than that, if you compare it to the G rating to the MaxAmps, MaxAmps is averaging 1.13 Gs, 1.110 Gs, and then this 1.10. So the G is the G rating, the G force, pretty consistent. And in regards to the Turnigy, I was getting a better G rating, like G force rating, 1.17, 1.13. So yeah, um, the only difference between the MaxAmps and the Turnigy, um, I was getting, I got better times, even though I got less miles per hour, but I got better, quicker times on the MaxAmps um, versus the Turnigy. The best I could do as a Turnigy is 3.050. MaxAmps was 3.04, and then what I didn't get on video because my DJI Action 2 camera, uh, end up stop recording, in the middle of my filming. But I was able to get these times on Eternity, and then the G's on here, the acceleration, the G's, 1.56 G's. That's a lot of G's, man. I was able to hit 42 miles per hour and then 3.10. I think this one, and I think yeah, in the other one, this one, right, the low times. I think this was basically because uh, I experienced more wind. Yeah, the wind factor. That's why the 2.10 or 3.110 times and the 40 miles per hour because of the wind factor. And I guess same as this wind factor. As you can see, um, miles per hour again was identical. On this run, I was able to hit a 43 miles per hour, which is my fastest miles per hour to date on the Traction Drag Slash. And then, first one was 3.110, second one was 3.010, and then I was able to hit 3.0 flat. And this is all without using the trans brake. So as you look at the graph, again, here it looks like the acceleration. I was able to hit very high G, almost 1.56 G's, about zero point 0.8 seconds into the run. Here, I was able to, my peak was 1.13 G's, and then started declining after that, or going down. Um, I think this one, a lot of factor, the wind, and also I think I guess when it peaked too high and too fast, I experienced voltage sag. So and then now you see the tremendous decline, what they call it, a valley. It dropped not only tremendously but very quickly. Where you see this, the two graphs right here are very identical. It was pretty steady throughout. I didn't hit like a decline till 2.8 seconds to about 2.0 seconds into the run. This one I didn't hit any. This one looked like it was pretty able to maintain its discharge even after 2.2, and it didn't seem like it was like had a tremendous drop off. It was a slow decrease. Where this one is like bam, and then straight down. That's why I was able to get 42 miles per hour, but the speed at the end I couldn't, and it's just like here where the speed it was pretty consistent um, throughout till after maybe about 2.4, 2.5 seconds into it, and it started losing speed. Right here is pretty consistent again. Towards the end, it's a slow decline. Um, yeah, and here where I got the one of the best times and the faster miles per hour, there was no valley or decline. It was just basically keep climbing through all the way throughout from 0 to 132 feet. So yeah, this was like my fastest time, fastest miles per hour, um, especially when it comes to fastest time, fastest miles per hour. Pretty consistent. I mean, this is my fastest time and fastest miles per hour without using the trans brake. So pretty cool. Uh, and then now we can do the comparison. So here I have on the left, this is my best time that I got on the Turnigy without using the trans brake, 3.0, and then 43 miles per hour. And then this is the best time I could get on video. this this is the best time I could get on video, 3.050. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, so this was one of my best times I was able to get on the Turnigy on video. So because this was so what I did is took the two um, identical times, the consistent times, took one of the two, and I'm gonna compare it with the MaxAmp. Same thing here, 2.04, 41 miles per hour, two very consistent times. So make the comparison here. So this is the Turnigy, and this is the MaxAmps to the right. So if we look at the graph, I know people don't want to look at the graph, but this is something like if people who want to try to understand. Uh, so here you can see the difference between the 90C burst versus the 175C um, rating, and especially in regards to the 5,000 milliamps, the capacity. So here what we have is um, the peak is not as high on the Turnigy because it's a 90C, which you expect. Basically, right here, the G's or the acceleration, I think we're able to get about 1.2 G's or 1.13 G's right here is our peak. And then on the let me change my location. And right here, the max amp, again, same 1.13. But if you look at the difference between the two, the curve on the Turnigy is a lot um, flatter and it's a lot longer. Because if you look at where it goes below one G, about right here, we're looking probably at the 1 second mark or the point zero 0.09 second mark or the 1.0 second mark. Where here the decline happened a lot quicker and sooner. By the time it was hit, I was able to go about 1G, uh, probably at the zero point 0.8 mark, zero point 0.7. Then you can see it's like where it starts to decline at a bigger rate on the MaxAmps right here compared to the Turnigy. And then you have a slowly uh, decline, and then you have one big valley or one big decline at the end, about 2.7 seconds into the um, pass, about 2.7, yeah, about 2.7. Here you have two big valleys or declines. One probably happens at the 2 second mark, and then you have another one that happens at about in maybe 2.1, and then another big drastic decline about maybe the 2.5 or 2.6 mark. So you had two major declines, and then one decline here, which tells me um, on a 90C, because of the 5,000 milliamp or capacity, uh, even though it doesn't peak as high as the max amps, but you do have a steady dosage of power output throughout from 0 to 132 feet compared to the max amp. And then you can see here where when you look at the speed, it the speed increases steadily, and then it hits its peak about the 2.2 second mark, and then you pretty much have like it starts to flatline, I guess. It holds its so this is the burst, what they call the burst at full throttle, and it kind of holds it steady all the way to 2.6 seconds, and it starts its decline. Where here it peaks at about 2 seconds, or before that, um, maybe about, yeah, 2 seconds. This is my this is about 2 point, maybe 2.2 or 2.3. Here is a 2 seconds. It starts its decline again. It starts a decline rapidly or very drastic. So, and it declines all the way to almost about 34 miles per hour. Here, probably the lowest we got to is probably, I would say, about 40. I would say 40 miles per hour. Maybe, yeah, 10, yeah, 39, 39, 40. And again, here about maybe 36. So there's a big decrease in miles per hour towards the end of um, the pass. So I guess what I'm trying to explain is like um, Let me go make myself bigger. Okay, so actually the MaxAmps battery consistently had quicker, faster times uh, in regards to 0 to 132. And the reason why is because of the high C rating. So high C rating tells me when I'm looking at the graph, this is built for a high load system or setup, uh, a high um, a low gear ratio and a high kV motor. It will perform better, a lot way better than a Turnigy if you put a high load system into your no pep jag racing. When I say high load, is mean the amount of amps your system require pulls from the max amp, because basically the max amp, because of the 175 C rating, it's able to output a lot more amps than the Turnigy. But because the max amp is able to output more amps uh, quicker and higher, because it's only a 5,000 milliamp battery, you experience a voltage drop um, a lot sooner and longer than the Turnigy, if that ever makes sense, because the difference of the 175C C discharge and the 90C discharge. So basically, even though the Turnigy is not able to pull or output the same type of amp output compared to the max amps, is basically you this is able to maintain a higher speed and a higher acceleration for a longer period of time. Where the max amp, you have a quick and fast acceleration, G's, but at the end, um, you end up losing. You be just all you lose. You be using too much energy. It's like it's like back in the days when you had like when we used to use the double A batteries, or or we used to put when lipos didn't exist, and we put batteries in a toy. In a fully charged battery, you would notice that the toy would performance is a lot noticeable, but once it starts losing once the battery gets weaker, you notice the performance getting a lot weaker. uh, Same goes as lipo batteries. It's able to maintain a voltage um, like lipo batteries. It's able to maintain consistency throughout the power band, uh, but at the same time, once it goes below a certain voltage between the two cells, you will notice that you lose a lot of power or performance once you go. I think you don't want your lipo batteries go below 2.0 volts on each cell. In this case, 6 volts for both cells. Once you go below 6 volts, you notice some voltage sag, and that's probably what happened with this max amps. Um, if you look at it, like I said, about 1 second, you had that sudden rush surge, and after that, after 1 second, you started to lose some voltage, and eventually got into the danger zone, 6.0 volts. But you know, but um, because I installed the high-speed pinion gear with a 29 tooth. When you install a bigger diameter pinion gear, you're gonna the gearing is gonna and the motor is gonna require a lot more amps, a lot more amp output, and that is why the max amp is able to give the amp output to that setting or to that setup. The Turnigy is able to give that max output, but not as high or not as strong as the max amp because of the C rating, and that's how C rating can affect how your no pep jag race RC perform, or any RC performs. Um, but also you have to correlate it with the capacity. The C rating and capacity goes hand in hand. That's how you calculate the discharge rate. So this is has the MaxAmp has a higher discharge rate than the Turnigy, but long term wise, the Turnigy is able to um, uh, be consistent um, for a short period of time longer. So that is why um, the times are so identical between these two, but at the same time, the Turnigy is able to get a higher miles per hour because it's able to just sustain and maintain that power output to the motor um, just a tad bit longer, and that's why the longer you can maintain your power output, you can get higher miles per hour. But in this case, where the max amps, we have the sudden surge in the beginning, big drop off at the end. So we get because it's only 0 to 130 feet, which is very short. As you can see, it's about 3 seconds. So 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. You know, so um, it's like say you get the full um, maximum power output uh, in that 1 second, the 1 second period, and then after that, everything just you just lose power. But you know in drag racing, it's all about who can get the quickest and fastest start and also be able to maintain that power output or be consistent throughout from 0 to 132 feet, and most importantly, who has the best traction and who can keep their vehicle the straightest as possible. And so, um, you know, if this max amps would be at least 6,500 milliamps instead of the 5,000 or 1,500 milliamps more. So if I was to get the two same batteries, but if the capacity was changed from 5,000 to 6,500, max amp or the max amps would definitely win uh, in regards to in miles per hour and not only miles per hour but quicker and faster times. I think if you're able to get 6,500 capacity, I would easily get into the 2.9 second mark um, with a max amp 175C 6500 uh, mAh or 65 milliamps LiPo battery. I easy 2.9, maybe 2.8, even 2.7, because that's enough capacity just to give me not only the because it's able to have a higher peak or higher discharge rate, and it's also be able to maintain that um, higher discharge rate or peak for a longer extended period of time. So you know where where 3.01 second can be a difference between when you from winning and losing. It makes all the difference. That 1500 milliamp more just can give you that little oomph to just get you across that finish line uh, first. So now I know they also uh, you can get a 7500. I think the 7500 milliamp is kind of like safe and usually at very consistent times. Um, and also MaxAmps just came out with a 9000 milliamp 100C um, LiPo battery for no prep drag racing. So I'm looking into purchasing that when I have the budget. Uh, that is definitely and with not only with the 100C rating with the 9000 milliamp LiPo capacity, I can run a very high load system. You know, I can run if a high kV system. The highest I can even running the 2.0 or 2.0 turn uh, motor and pair it up with a very high gear or very low gear ratio, because that's going to be a lot of load. That's going to be a lot of amps that's going to be required to power that system. And if so, that's something I'm going to do in the future. And do a lot of tuning and testing, make some comparisons, see if my theory is right or I'm wrong. But it's a learning process. I know Turnigy, they also have a this battery, uh, two cell 90C in a 7500 capacity, which is pretty. I think it is um, will probably do the job. But if you can get a 100C, which is 10 C's more than this Turnigy, and get a 9,000 milliamp battery, they're, I mean, man, yeah. So if like say for example, this Lipo battery, this Turnigy I have right in my hand right here, this will outperform the MaxAmps if you install this in a no in a traction drag slash um, stock, completely stock right out of the box. It will definitely outperform this MaxAmps. But when you but if you change out the 22 pinion gear and install a high speed pinion gear, and then this will be very competitive or be a lot quicker and faster than the Turnigy. Like the data and testing showed that this got quicker, um, was consistently quicker times, 2.04 miles per hour is very consistent at 41 because this is what it is. What it is. This is what you're gonna get. Where in a Turnigy, uh, without using a trans brake, it had two consistent times, but at the same time, you just have that one. You're like, interesting. This one was a lot quicker and faster. Like I said, uh, on video and without using a trans brake. Or, my quickest and fastest time on the Turnigy was 2.0 flat, and then my highest miles per hour is 43 miles per hour. So, that only like tells you, even though like the miles per hour, like I said, 41. That was only to be able to get the top speed on the max amp, 41 miles per hour. So, like I said, that's when you look at the C rating, C rating correlating to the max milliamps, because like I said, the higher C rating, bigger the discharge rate, but at the same time, you lose the power towards the of the end of the run. Where this one is like it's like so basically this is like if you in if you was compared to the timing on your motor, it's like you get the full power in the beginning, but you lose it at the end. Here, where you have like basically in the probably the mid range, it'll peak in the mid range, and then starts to taper or decline slowly towards the end, just because it's a lower C rating and the size of the milliamps. Because this is almost like 1.94 or 194% more C rating than more power output than compared to the Turnigy. If this ever all makes sense. So yeah, tuning and testing in the future. Um, yeah, with the Turnigy, I was able to get a 2.9 seconds and I guess 42 miles per hour using the trans brake, which is kind of pretty interesting. That's the only time I ever used the trans brake, and it actually made a big difference. Like I said, if I ever got a 7500 milliamp um, Turnigy, I probably can get easy 2.9 seconds consistently. Just I may be even able to at least hit 44 miles per hour. And then again, Turnigy, if I just needed a bigger capacity battery, it's kind of like I guess my days when I used to drag race real scale cars. Um, you know, like a lot of people used to use NOS back in the days, and it's not really like it's the person will normally win the race when they press the NOS at the right time, right? So if you press the NOS too early, uh, you may gain that sudden surge of power or in speed, but because once the NOS run out, your battery, your engine cools down a lot quicker and faster, so you will lose power a lot quicker and faster, so you would just barely be able to cross the line. But if you press the NOS at the right time or time in at the right time, where you want to basically once the NOS gets into your engine, you have that sudden surge of power, and you want that sudden surge of power to all last until you uh, cross the finish line, and then kaput. And that's what I guess what I'm trying to find out, or find the right lipo battery for no prep drag racing, is trying to find that lipo battery that's able to give me that high power output, but also maintain that power output all the way throughout towards the end of um, the race, or the pass. So like I said, I know MaxAmps came out with the 9,000 milliamp 100C lipo battery, so I'm looking into that. That thing is like $184. So I'm just gonna have to wait till it fits my budget, and then we'll see if my theory is correct, and we're gonna do some tuning and testing on that one. So hope you folks enjoyed this live stream. Sorry if it was just a bit tedious and just me just rambling, going over data. I know people don't like to see data or information, but Arak gotta do his homework and his research. Gotta show you folks my work ethic. If you folks learned from this video, I hope you did. Hopefully, it gave you enough the data and information you need to make the right decision for yourself. So yeah, there is no really any clear winner between the two lipo batteries. The only clear winner is you. If you just want to save money. I know this Turnigy was only $39.99 when I first bought it, and then the MaxAmp at the time I purchased this was $129.99 before taxes, before shipping. I know it's on sale. I know the MaxAmps dropped the price to $99.99, so you're saving $30 there, but still yet you're saving money on the Turnigy, and basically you're both getting the same performance. No really big drastic performance, or no really big difference in performance. Uh, what it comes down to is you, the person holding the remote control, how quickly and fast you can pull that trigger to get it full throttle. So now, yeah, and I just want to make a point. This is all information based on the time from 0 to full throttle, and holding full throttle all the way to the end of um, the race or the pass. So yeah, no big difference, major big performance difference in the two. Like I said, you probably only see a drastic performance difference if the capacity was a lot bigger. Um, yeah, this would if this like say if the capacity it was at least 6,500 or more, the MaxAmp would truly outperform the Turnigy. But we only tested the 5,000 milliamp version, and right now no big difference. So if you're looking to get um, anything, I would say if you can get the highest C rating lipo battery with at least 6,500 milliamps, or if you even can get 7,500, or if even you get 9,000 milliamps, even 10,000 milliamps, um, that would be the ideal lipo battery for no prep drag racing. Um, especially if you run a high load system, load LOAD, or one that requires a lot of amp draw or a lot of power. Like I said, if you run a low gear ratio or a high kV motor or a low turn motor, it's better to run the higher capacity battery. You will actually get the performance you need, or you'll get you get the results will be to your satisfaction. All right. So hope you folks enjoyed this live stream. Sorry for the boring and tedious video, but it's all good. Hopefully you folks are here to take the data information, and hope it helps you out. And stay tuned for a lot of cool content. A lot of cool content. Uh, Harak has some pretty cool things coming up. Pretty cool things. So the next live stream or VOD. Take care and aloha. Shaka. And I'm out.